The chime of the bell beckons us into sacred time. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston, where we widen love's circle by honoring the inherent worth and dignity of all. However you arrive today, we welcome you, and we extend a heartfelt and inclusive invitation to join us in meaningful worship and in service to the world. Buenos días y bienvenidos a esta comunidad donde ampliamos el círculo del amor, honrando el valor y la dignidad inherentes de todos. We greet all those who join us this morning, and we hope those watching the live stream will fill out the online attendance form and refer to the many announcements in the online order of service. We ask you here in person to take a moment after the service to introduce yourself to somebody that you don't already know. And finally, today is a special Sunday because it kicks off our stewardship campaign. We hope that you will stay after this service for some cake in Channing Hall to celebrate with us. Now, please join our musical team here for our first song. The lyrics of the first song are in your order of service.
Oh, I want to be in that number. And friends, you are included in the number of us gathered here this morning. Those of us who have gathered to celebrate our community, to engage in spiritual growth, and to bring hope, justice, and an ever-widening circle of love to our world. We are included in that number. Come, let us worship together.
Celebremos compartiendo nuestras vidas, encendiendo esta luz.
Please join me in reciting our congregational covenant. The words can be found in your order of service. Love is the spirit of our congregation. Service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to encourage one another. Thus do we covenant.
Draw the circle wide.
service where we send our young folks off to their religious exploration program with Kinsey. And I guess today we say young folk. We love you, and we are so glad that you're here as part of our congregation, because you're an important part of not just our present, but also our future. So I hope the congregation will join with me in singing our young folk off to his religious education program with the words found in your order of service as you go.
Like those who came before us throughout time, we pray to experience hope and to see justice done. Recently, President Obama told us the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. Except it doesn't bend on its own, it bends because we pull it in the direction of justice. What keeps me hopeful during times like these is being surrounded by people who are doing just that. He was, of course, referencing the statement by Dr. King, who spoke of the moral universe in a speech in 1968. And Dr. King was paraphrasing abolitionist Unitarian minister Theodore Parker, who wrote the words to our closing hymn today. Parker first alluded to the ark in a sermon in 1853 on the brink of the Civil War. Such sentiments can be traced all the way back to 600 BCE and the Psalms from the Hebrew Bible. I was reminded of this when I read this poem by Ernesto Cardenal, the Nicaraguan Catholic priest, revolutionary, and poet. Written in 1967, he reset Psalm 5 and titled it, "Give Ear to My Words." The translation is by Jonathan Cohen. I share it now as our prayer for hope and justice. Give ear to my words, O Lord, hear my groans. Listen to my protest, for you are not a God who is a friend of dictators, nor a supporter of their politics, nor are you influenced by their propaganda, nor do you associate with any gangster. There's no honesty in their speeches, nor in their press releases. They talk of peace in their speeches while they increase their war production. They talk of peace at peace conferences and secretly prepare for war. Their lying radios blare all night long. Their desks are piled with criminal plans and sinister documents. But you will protect me from their plans. They speak through the mouth of machine guns. Their flashing tongues are bayonets. Punish them, O God, foil their politics. Mix up their memos, block their programs. At the hour of the alarm siren, you will be with me. You will be my refuge on the day of the bomb. You bless the righteous who don't believe in the lies of their ads, nor in their publicity and political campaigns. Your love surrounds them like armored tanks. Amen. We pause now together to lift up that which sits heavy and light on our hearts. Iris Sizemore is excited to report her cast was removed, and she will soon begin physical therapy. We continue to send our love and healing wishes. Cheryl Rivers, First Unitarian's bookkeeper, had successful knee surgery on Tuesday, and we wish her a quick recovery. Edith Douglas, Cindy Douglas's former daughter-in-law, passed away on Monday. We send condolences to Cindy and her grandchildren. We hold Carolyn Ross and Peggy Harvey in our hearts and send them healing wishes after recent health concerns. And we continue to hold Pandora Johnson with tender care as she navigates breast cancer treatment. And we hear reports of congregants suffering from norovirus as well as the flu and colds this season. And we urge everyone to take care of yourselves and take extra precautions during this time. Misha Barak is a prayer in the Jewish tradition for the healing of those whose names are called out by congregants. There are similar practices in the African, indigenous, and pagan traditions, and we honor these rituals by saying aloud or bringing to mind those who we wish to be held by the loving embrace of this religious community. They are part of the great cloud of witness and memory, and we will, even if we do not know their names, hold them in our hearts. In this great cloud of witness and memory, amid this beloved community, we hear these names and hold them in our hearts. Let us remember the suffering and joy amid and among our community that we do not know. Breathe with me and know that we are all interdependent, that the Spirit of life flows through us all. Breathe with me as we continue to do the holy work of interconnection and relationship, that our work here may be blessed. In the spirit of love, in the spirit of hope, and in the spirit of compassion, I invite each of you now to enter into a time of silent prayer, meditation, or reflection.
Each week, our morning offering is shared with an organization that shares our Unitarian Universalist values. Through our generosity, our work in the world is proliferated, and our values are brought to life. This week, we are supporting Advocates for Immigrant Survivors. Advocates for Immigrant Survivors is an organization whose mission is to provide immigration legal services and social services to aid survivors in accessing the rights to justice, dignity, and restoration. They provide trauma-informed immigration legal services to survivors of violent crime, case management, outreach, and education. In 2024, they served 246 survivors from 38 countries of origin in 10 different languages. We welcome Alexia Rowan to the pulpit to speak further about this important organization. Welcome, Alexia.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Lexia Rowan. I'm one of the co-founders of Advocates for Immigrant Survivors. I'm an immigration attorney. We are a nonprofit that provides services here in Greater Houston, and really our philosophy is if Houston is the metropolitan city closest to you, we will serve you, because we know there are a lot of folks in more rural areas that have trouble accessing services. And so we co-founded this organization back in 2019 to address a gap in services. We identified that there were a number of survivors, specifically of violent crimes, and we largely serve survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking that were struggling to maneuver the criminal justice system as witnesses, reporting crimes, that kind of thing, and then also were in need of immigration representation. And so the majority of our clients are currently undocumented, and ultimately our goal is to get them on the pathway to stable status, which often looks like a green card and eventually citizenship. Unfortunately, access to free services has declined since 2019, and I would say that the recent funding cuts that nonprofits across Houston are experiencing, not just immigration, but really all nonprofits, has led to reduced staffing, and so it has also unfortunately led to fewer survivors served. So our organization is really there to meet survivors with respect, compassion, high quality legal support. Many of the folks that we serve are facing multiple barriers. The majority do not speak English. Some are coming to us still living in abusive situations. And so they're often navigating trauma, isolation, and fear, also because of their immigration status. About a month ago, we did have 2 of our survivors become permanent residents. They came from very different regions of the world. One was from Central America, one was from East Africa. Neither of them spoke English, but they both had a desire for a better life for both themselves and their children being US citizens. And so now with permanent residency, they no longer have to fear deportation. They can actually travel to their home country and see family again that they haven't seen in many years. And then my hope is in 3 years that they will come back to our organization and we will be able to assist them in applying for citizenship. At AIS, we believe that every survivor deserves access to justice, regardless of where they were born or what language that they speak. And so your support helps make that a reality, and thank you again for having me here today.
Thank you, Alexia. Those in our sanctuary will find the instructions for text giving in the order of service, and those watching the live stream will see the instructions on your screens. Our regular Sunday morning offering collection invites us to weave a tapestry of love and action. We ask you to give generously. An offering will now be gratefully received.
me in the words to dedicate our offering found in your order of service. To the work of this church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings.
Our first reading this morning is the poem When Giving Is All We Have by Alberto Alvaro Rios, the poet laureate of Arizona. One river gives its journey to the next. We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We have been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big though small, diamond and wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and again. Giving is first and every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, and I gave you yellow. Together we are simple green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. Together we made something greater from the difference. Here ends the first reading.
Our second reading this morning is the poem Once and Future by Desdemona, a hip-hop and spoken word artist from Minneapolis. We painted dawn into midnight. Out of cement ceilings, we made skylights. From gravel, we crafted fine and delicate chandeliers, hung them with fishing lines so they appeared to float in midair. We turned copper piping into rings, Venus circling our fingers. The oxidation turned our digits green, our limbs transforming into ferns and orchids. We breathed, and our condensation created clouds. Our tears fed the sea. We prayed to all the living things. We sat in silence with the trees. Our feet rooting into the ground to touch the highest energy, the evergreens and us. We breathed in tandem, and inside our lungs sprung a forest of veins, mimicking their cousins' limbs. We sprouted two intricate flowers in our minds for the left and right hemispheres, and we hung our thoughts there, believing that the petals would keep them safely tucked away. We recognized ourselves. We didn't need mirrors to see our likeness. Even the dirt felt like us, the sand, our bones in a trillion pieces. We walked atop these beaches, sinking in, their legacy holding us. There was a silence, and we were not afraid. There was peace, and we were not anxious. There was a world we did not conquer. Here ends the second reading.
Please rise in body and or spirit and join me in singing hymn 1028 in your teal hymnal, The Fire of Commitment. From light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul
You ready?
What?
Let's go. When I was considering the right place for my internship, I knew that the best experience for me would be one that opened my eyes to ways of doing church that were different than anything that I had ever experienced before. As most of you know, I come from Las Vegas, which operated as a lay-led congregation for most of the time that I was there. We were a pretty small congregation with a staff of sometimes one part-time administrative assistant. All of our services were multi-generational since we had no formal religious education program, which meant that the kids played on a big rug with fluffy pillows and boxes of Legos right next to the chancel. And every so often, a Lego would go flying across the sanctuary during a sermon. And it was good. That community made so many things possible for me. As an early seminarian, I had lots of pulpit access, the chance to serve on many committees and practice shared leadership with people of all ages. They supported me as I fumbled and I learned. We tried many new things together, and that was the congregation that sponsored me for ministry, a critical and required early step in a seminarian's career. When I practice preaching and leading, serving, innovating, and caring in this community, I feel their hand on my back. Now, with the clock of my ministerial internship counting down, I've been reflecting a lot on the learnings of the past year. As you may know, I moved to Houston to be near my family. And a couple months into living here, I began reaching out to area ministers in the spirit of collegiality. Coming from Las Vegas with no ministerial mentorship to Houston with a vibrant ministerial community felt like, well, to use a little Vegas lingo, hitting the jackpot. I truly daydreamed about what this vibrant community could make possible for me and my ministry. Before I was your intern, in my very first email to Reverend Colin, I introduced myself and I asked if we could schedule coffee. He replied almost immediately. He copied Ames to schedule lunch, and he invited me to an upcoming regional ministers retreat, and he offered me a scholarship so that I could come. It probably took him, 3 minutes to write that email?
Maybe 5.
Yeah, okay, 5 minutes to write the email. And despite the fact that Reverend Colin, in that one simple email, folded me into a community that I had longed for, that wasn't my favorite thing about that message. My favorite thing was how he signed off with the word love. I wrote in my cover letter for my internship application, I am a love person looking for a love place to do love work. Through this year, you've each widened the circle of love to include me. And now I move forward in my ministry with your hand on my back. You've made so much possible for me.
We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. Together, Alberto Alvaro Rios' words and Nina's story provide us with an introduction to what, in my long-standing dad joke, I refer to as the annual Sermon on the Amount. This is Stewardship Sunday. It might not seem like it, but it's a sort of high holiday for Unitarian Universalists. It's the day when we commit to make our religious community possible. It is only with your generosity that we are able to make all that we make happen. Sunday worship celebrations, pastoral care, the choir, religious exploration, justice work, an internship for a seminarian. It's all brought about when you dig deep and with your financial commitments say, I'm going to help sustain, as Nina put it, a love place where we can come together to do love work. Love work. We speak of widening love's circle. This morning together, we come together to do a little love work. We gather to remind each other that no matter how harshly the wicked winds of war blow, no matter how rough and rocky the road, there is a place that proclaims that each human being is loved and was born a blessing. Love work. In this congregation, we understand that we are each born with the power to bring more love and greater blessing into the world. Let's do a little of that together right now. As a reminder of our power to love and bless, I invite you to turn to a person near you and say, "You are loved, you are a blessing." Try it. You are loved, you are a blessing. You are loved, you are a blessing. It is the act of coming together to do love work that makes us a religious community. Each year in my preparation for the Sermon on the Mount, I reflect on the difference between spiritual and religious practice. Spiritual practice, I think of spiritual practice as breath work, the work of breathing in and out the air that unites all of us. Spiritual, from the Latin spiritus, breath, breathing, spirit. It's something we can do on our own. Breath. Now, one of my spiritual practices is yoga. Each Monday after work, I ride my bike to the downtown Y for an evening session. I've been attending those classes for about a year and a half. I suspect I'm a little stronger, a little more lithe because of them. Certainly, at the end of each yoga class, I feel calmer and more connected to the living breath that we share than I did at the beginning. But I do not feel like I've had a religious experience. In all the time that I've been attending, I've had a meaningful encounter with, well, precisely no one. Each Monday we gather, we pull out our yoga mats, we go through our poses, find a bit of flow, and then, well, that's it. If you're here today for the Sermon on the Mount, then you likely feel that practicing yoga in a time of rising authoritarianism is not enough. Spiritual practice, be it yoga or something else, is something that we can do on our own. Spiritual practices on their own are not going to provide a counter to Christian nationalism. It doesn't matter how many downward dogs or sun salutations I do. My yoga class is not going to become a place to bring us together to say, from the union of the Crusaders' cross and the country's capital, I dissent. I dissent. Yoga in a time of war is not enough. I dissent. In order to make my dissent meaningful, in order to give it strength for transformative power, I need something more. I need to turn from I dissent to we dissent. We need the religious practice of dissent. Religion, I've shared in the past, can be understood as what binds us together. Thought to be derived from the Latin word for to tie, to bind, religious practices are what connect each to all. They are the things that unite a community in purpose and in action. They are the activities that empower us to bring a bit more beauty and justice into the world. They are how we live out our vision of widening love's circle. Religious practice. Another way I think about it comes from my conversations with the philosopher John Clarke. You might remember John. He's a friend of the congregation. We read his book Between Earth and Empire last year. He's a profound political thinker. He's cultivated an impressive presence, which he's nurtured through his unique blend of European anarchism, Sufi mysticism, and Buddhist meditation practice, as well as a lifelong engagement with community work and celebration in New Orleans. Last year, a lot of my discussions with John were about the importance of and power of liberating religious communities. He believes that some religious communities are blessed through beauty-making theology, through joy-giving practice, through good leadership, with the potential to be, in his words, places for liberation and solidarity, as well as awakening and care. Now, John's not a Unitarian Universalist, but he has respect for the possibilities our tradition has to create communities of liberation and solidarity, awakening and care. In one conversation, he shared with me the grief he felt over the decision of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Orleans to close their buildings. First New Orleans had once been a thriving congregation. Dr. M. Tangalizi Sinyaka, another friend of our community, was introduced to Unitarian Universalism there. The congregation played a vital role in the struggle for civil rights in the 1960s, surviving firebombings of both the church and the minister's house. But the community was devastated in Hurricane Katrina. It lost more than half of its membership. A lot of the remaining members lessened their commitments for one reason or for another. And so, saddled with a building that it could no longer afford, the members voted to sell their campus and become a church without walls. John told me that when the congregation voted to sell their campus, he became suddenly aware of everything that First Unitarian Universalist provided to New Orleans. He'd never been a member, but he and his family had been in and out of the church's buildings for more than 3 decades. He likened them to a tree, an entity sustaining a vast ecosystem of loving activism and spiritual work in its branches. With the tree gone, all the squirrels and chipmunks, birds and beetles, mushrooms and moss, all that religion that had been sheltered in its loving branches were rendered homeless. He wished that the wider community had recognized that it should not fall only to the members of the congregation to sustain it. The congregation had supported so many people, so many movements outside of its slender membership. It had made so many things possible, and now all of that is gone.
I can cheer somebody with a word or song. If I can show somebody they are traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as I know I ought, if I can bring back beauty to the world abroad, if I can spread then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If I can help somebody as I pass along, then my living shall not be in
The first time that I remember stepping into a Unitarian Universalist space, I was in college and attending a Planned Parenthood panel. In the face of yet another round of federal defunding, they were speaking to the comprehensive nature of their services, how they fill a critical gap in providing health care to many under and uninsured folks. The panel was fine, but I paid more attention to the flags displayed on the walls of the space that we were in that said things like, "We respect the inherent worth and dignity of all beings, and we practice equity, justice, and compassion in our relationships." After the panel, I approached the organizer and said, "Thanks so much for this event, but can you tell me where we are?" He said, "This is the Conejo Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship." On my way home, I called my mom and I said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Unitarian Universalism?" And she said, "Honey, you were dedicated UU, and I always knew you would find your way back." Funny enough, I recently attended Houston's Planned Parenthood fundraising luncheon, and I was talking to another First UU member at our table about her path to Unitarian Universalism. She shared that it was also for her the connection to Planned Parenthood that paved a path to our shared faith. She served as a protective escort at a clinic in Rochester, walking back and forth, sheltering those there for health care from the vitriol of protesters, and ensuring that they made it to the front door of the clinic. She shared that a fellow escort with whom she had worked and walked back and forth to the clinic doors for years, finally, after learning more about who she was and how she viewed the world, said, "Hey, you should really check out my UU church." Like Dr. Batiste sang about, it is the way that we help and love the world that ensures that we don't spend our lives in vain. The work of helping and building and loving, that is what connects us all. The conversation that we had just a couple weeks ago at that Planned Parenthood lunch, that drew a line of similarity. Both myself and the person I was talking to, our passions for and our interests in equal rights and bodily autonomy led us to first encountering Unitarian Universalism. We weren't necessarily looking for religion, but it found us, and it changed our lives. It is the way that we use a space that makes it sacred. To be the squirrels and the chipmunks, the birds and the beetles, the mushrooms and the moss that protect and support the tree that gives us so much shelter and so much life. In January, the board and staff hosted our annual leadership forum, which attracted over 60 of our members and friends for a day of learning and nourishing our shared leadership. It is important to pause for planning so that we know where we're going. Maybe you've heard me talk about the vast horizon before, that place toward which we move and work, where all beings have peace and love. My leadership mentor, Tyson Casey, says that while we always must have our horizon in mind, we mustn't neglect the steps that are directly in front of us. The next few steps are always as important as the horizon toward which we are working. And the way that we make those steps influences the paths that we move along. The knowing and the being of that far horizon in each step that we make becomes clearer as we move forward, always returning to what is, while at the same time becoming what could be. So what could be, friends? What could be? When you imagine the future of this community, what do you hope is true? What do you feel is possible? During the leadership forum, I was a part of the outreach breakout group and heard so many brilliant ideas, all about how to talk to each other and those in the wider community about who we are and what it really means when we say that we widen love's circle. The strategic plans and the outreach goals, these are unidirectional. They look into the future. They focus on growth. They imagine what is possible. Now, I'll say, I think of stewardship campaigns in the same way that I think about presidential elections. Instead of imagining the act of voting for one person as an answer to all of our troubles, I ask myself, which of these candidates will lead and speak for a country that I can organize effectively in? Instead of thinking of stewardship campaigns as a time when money talk dirties our customary talk of peace and justice and love, perhaps we can think about how financial generosity creates conditions and spaces in which we can all organize and do the work that is only ours to do. When we were talking about our similar Planned Parenthood to Unitarian Universalism experiences, your board vice president and I noted that it took both of us a good long while to develop the depth of engagement and commitment to our community that we have now. We both likened our experience to planting a seed that took many years to sprout the roots and flowers that Unitarian Universalism has today. You never know what seeds that are planted will grow to become. We never know what will be possible when we plant a seed of love, of hope, of justice, or of action in someone's heart. But what we can know for sure is that the garden of beloved community that we exist in and that we tend to today is the fruit and flower of seeds that were planted years or even generations ago. So, Rev, do you want to tell them how much money we need?
I get to do the hard thing, huh? So, $750,000 is this year's pledge goal. It's the same as last year's pledge goal because last year we didn't quite meet our target. And so as a result, the congregation's finances have been in a bit of a pinch. We've had to leave our communications coordinator position vacant and reduce some of what we offer. Meeting the goal of $750,000 will empower this congregation to do a lot. It will put us in solid financial shape as we continue our search for an assistant minister. It will position us to live out dissent as a religious practice. Dissent as a religious practice. I'm going to return to that in a moment. But let me tell you what the stewardship team is asking of this congregation in this year's campaign. Living our mission. They're encouraging a 10% increase in your pledge and hoping for 15 new households to come together to support First Unitarian Universalist. A 10% increase, of course, if you can do more, then that would make an even greater difference. Right now, there are members of our community who, with rising inflation, a vicious illegal war of choice, are struggling to make ends meet. Not everyone is going to be able to increase their pledge by 10%. So somewhere out there, there are those of you who might be able to increase yours by double or triple to help make up for those who can't increase theirs at all. And I encourage you to do so. I also hope that a few of you who are not yet members of First Unitarian Universalist will be stirred by John Clarke's grief and story of the closure of First Unitarian Universalists in New Orleans buildings to recognize the importance of pledging. It takes the generosity of all of us to build a love place where we do love work together. Now, I'm not going to channel my inner Marvin Sapp and close the doors of the sanctuary until everyone turns in their pledge card or makes a commitment to increase your pledges. Instead, I'm going to remind you that by making a pledge, you're saying to the members of this congregation and the wider Houston community, you are loved, you are a blessing. You are loved, you are a blessing. Today is the day that as a religious community, we declare that what binds us together is the knowledge that we all have the possibility to love and to bless. In making our pledges, we proclaim that everyone has that power. And we say no to those who would limit love and blessing to just a few. We declare that love and blessing are universal. In doing so, we collectively dissent from those who would inscribe their reactionary theologies into legal codes of Texas and use them to justify a war in Iran. We tell each other we have the power to dissent from those who use ancient sacred texts written for other communities and other times to object to modern medical practices, limit women's rights, cut funding for Planned Parenthood, attack the LGBTQ community, and justify violence. We remind each other we have the power to bless, to love, and dissent because we commit each year, each Stewardship Sunday, to contribute something significant to sustain the life of First Unitarian Universalist. The name of this year's stewardship campaign is Living Our Mission. We say that our vision is widening love's circle. Widening love's circle, bringing our shared dream of building the beloved community into being, both within our beautiful brick walls and without, has committed us to creating a growing, multicultural, multi-generational, and multiracial congregation in the city's urban diverse center. Creating such a community is something that we can only do together. It is a religious practice. Together we maintain a place to gather and name for each other the deepest truths in our lives. Together we create a community where we say that these truths shall not be held in private. They must be spoken in public. Together we can learn from, embrace, and nurture each other. Together we can live out the words of our covenant and encourage one another. Encourage one another. I offer the sermon on the amount because it is your financial commitments that make so much possible. They make it possible for people like Nina and our board vice president to have life-changing experiences. They make it possible for our congregation to bring beauty and justice into the world. They make it possible, they make it possible, well, I will let you complete the sentence. Today, please consider making your pledge, increasing your pledge by 10% if you can. That will allow us to meet our goal of $750,000 and live into our mission. It is one way we say to each other, and I invite you to say it to someone near you now, you are loved, you are a blessing. You are loved, you are a blessing. That it might be so, I invite the congregation to say Amen.
Amen.
Please rise in body and or spirit and join me in singing hymn 1058 in your teal hymnal, Be Ours a Religion. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all true, its ritual works of love. Be ours a religion which like sunshine goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love.
Join me in reciting the words to extinguish our chalice. The words can be found in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
You are loved, you are a blessing. We each have the possibility to announce such truths to the world. We each have the potential to bring them into being. Through stewardship, through our financial commitments, we make much possible. You are loved, you are a blessing. Let the congregation say, Amen.